Welcome to the Amanda Quick Show. I am your host, Amanda Quick. I am the best-selling author of The Sex Trafficker's Wife, a story of truth, faith, and trust in self, a public speaker, and a trauma advocate. This is my show where no topic is off limits. From my own personal stories of trauma and adversity to the healing journey after trauma, parenting after trauma, and the spiritual awakening that often follows our traumatic stories. Quantum physics, spirituality, and the realm of possibility. If this sounds like your jam, subscribe for more, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome back to the Amanda Quick Show. I am your host, Amanda Quick. Today's episode, I want to talk about a little bit more, perhaps tangible ways that we can change our perspectives, the ways that we can look at what's currently going on in our life and do something about it if we're not happy with our current experience. This last several weeks in the world has been particularly challenging. The news cycle is honestly horrible, and coupled with rising interest rates and economy craziness and job markets and all of the things and a literal war happening on this planet, it can leave a lot of people feeling not just stressed, but absolutely terrified. And our nervous systems are on high alert. And if we already weren't living our best lives and in full trust of our path and our purpose, it adds a whole new layer to it. And I'm finding even those of us who have done quite a bit of work, it still is bringing things up that we thought we'd addressed. We thought we were over. We thought we got that one. And I know even for myself, as hard as this last couple of weeks has been, I can only imagine how much harder it would have been. And yet my experience is still very real and valid. And I've been, had days where I just didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to get out of bed. I just didn't want to. And I don't think I'm alone in that. And I've been able to pick myself back up. I've been able to find joy in things, and I've been able to kind of wrap my head around what exactly is important to me and how do I make those things a priority. But it wasn't without a lot of effort. And, last week we talked about finding that element of pride in what we're doing and how that really helped shift things for me. And as I kind of went through this last week, I was really finding myself aware that there's so much that I wasn't feeling prideful about. And at the same time, so much that I had almost forgotten. And I think that this happens to us a lot. And, most people I know, they live, at least if they live in their heads, which is a lot of people. And we live in our heads and our stories that we tell ourselves, and our mind doesn't stop moving. And a lot of times those stories are past events, things we wish we did differently, or conversations that didn't go like we wanted them to, and we replay them over and over again, or we fret about potentials in the future. We kind of live in one of the two spaces. We live either in the past or in the future. And we fret about the potentials of what if this happens, or what if that happens, or, what if, nobody likes this work I did, or nobody wants to buy my book or my product, or nobody, whatever the thing is, we fret about it. And I know, especially when I was going through really, really challenging times, I would play out scenarios in my mind. I would play out this, if this happens, then I'm going to do this. And I would have the whole scene play out in my head, the conversations I would have, how I would react and respond. And I would do this over and over and over again. And on one level, it helped me feel safe, that I knew what my reactions and responses would be. And on the other hand, it meant I didn't sleep very much because I was constantly stuck on the what ifs and the maybes and the fears of things getting worse in some other way. And most of the time, truthfully, it didn't ever play out like it did in my head, ever, which was a good thing. But at the same time, I could not come back to the present. I either fretted about things that had already happened that I had no control over, or I fretted about what might happen. And I think this is pretty common, that most people, especially if you're not 100% happy or enjoying your current reality, there's going to be some part of something that there's a level of worry, there's a level of fear, there's a level of just anxiety that happens, and it's coming from those past and future places. And so as I was kind of going through this week, and I was thinking about all of the places that I'm struggling still, and thinking about, things that I still beat myself up about, choices that I made that haven't played out in the way that I wanted them to, or I don't understand the lesson in yet, at least, and things that might happen or not be able to happen in the future because of those choices. And I sit with myself, and I have so much, not just anxiety, but judgment of myself in those times. And I have so much, why did you make those decisions? And what were you thinking? And blah, 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 blah. And when I do that, I'm keeping myself even further in these stories, these past and future stories. I'm keeping myself stuck there. And, something I realized, actually, I was reading last night, and what I realized was what I struggle the most to actually do is be in the present. And it's funny because, anybody in any of the professional development or mental health or spiritual communities, it's all about the present. We know that. And yet, gosh, it is really flipping hard to be in the present moment all the time. And, I've read The Power of Now. I definitely highly recommend that book if you want to know more about how to be in the present. But it was this reminder as I was reading last night that not just the importance of the present, but actually the present is all the power that we have. It's not just the power of now, but now is our power, because all we actually have control over is now. That's it. We don't have control over the past. We don't have control over the future. And we never did, as much as we try to convince ourselves that we do. All we have control over is now. That's it. In every single moment and every single day, now. That's all we have. And that's not a bad thing. There's actually honestly, it's a good thing, and it's kind of a weight off your shoulders when you realize all I have is now. I don't need to worry about the past or the future, because now is the decision that I have to make. And there's this idea that all of the power in this now moment is actually what defines our current reality. All of the beliefs about who we are in this now moment define our external circumstances. And so what that means is that the decision that you make in this moment about who you are, what you're capable of, what your boundaries are, what's okay and what's not okay, how you want to show up in the world, who you think you are, who you believe you truly are, and is a human in this planet, on the world, all of that is all that actually matters. Because the decisions and the beliefs about who you are today, right now, define who you are today, right now, every day, all day. And the more that we spend time focused on this moment, the more that everything else around us starts to arrange itself to support those beliefs. I 100% believe that we are the creators of our reality. And I know this is a hard one for people, because if we're the creators of our reality, then why have I created this situation that I'm in, whatever it is? And man, do I get it. I 100% have been there. When I realized that I was still creating the reality with my ex-husband and my children, that was a hard freaking moment. Because if I was creating it, I was allowing it, and I was an active participant in it. And no, I'm not the one who chose to go do deviant behaviors. Absolutely not. but I was still continuing to choose to participate in life with this man. And the level of accountability I had to take for that choice and those beliefs was 100%. And once I saw that, I can't unsee it. And the moment I made the change to no longer participate in that reality, to no longer see any good in him, to no longer have any desire to be connected in any way, shape, or form, 6 weeks later, it all changed. And so it wasn't like I woke up one day, my beliefs changed, and everything immediately changed. It wasn't like I jumped into a whole new house and body or anything of the sort. No. But it was pretty freaking fast otherwise, because the physical takes some time to adjust. We don't just wake up in a new body, in a new house, a millionaire, if we believe we can be one. It doesn't quite work that way, although that would be kind of fun. But at the same time, if we were that instant at manifesting every time we were down on ourselves, we might blow something up. So we'd have to be pretty careful if we were really that quick. But I digress. The reality of being that creator of self, of our experience and our environment, means that we actually have to take a level of accountability, the level of entire accountability of what we're experiencing and how we're reacting and responding to our circumstances. And if we're not happy with them, then we need to figure out why we're choosing them. Why are we okay with what's happening? Why are we participating in life this way? Why are we showing up every day if we don't want to be here? That doesn't really make any sense. And if we've got a bunch of beliefs about why we have to, then we need to take a look at those beliefs. If we think we have to go to the job that we hate because otherwise we're worthless, well, we've got to take a look at that. And why do we think that? And is this something our parents taught us? Is this something society has taught us? How many other examples of people out there do we need to see there's other possible ways to survive? There are a lot, by the way. And maybe it's not that. Maybe it's, I don't believe that I'm worthy of finding somebody who loves me in the way that I need, or who can support me in the way that I need, or whatever the other things are. And you continue to be in relationship after relationship where you feel like a parent, or you feel abused, or you feel not an equal, or whatever the thing is. Why do you keep creating this and choosing it? Because ultimately you are. And that's not a comfortable place to be. And it is really, really challenging to see where we are an active participant in our own trauma. But once we do, then we start to realize, wait a minute, if I chose this, I can unchoose it. I can choose something different, but I have to believe in myself. And I don't have to believe in myself in the future. I have to believe in myself now, in this moment, today. I have to choose and recognize that all of the power, all of it, is in the now. Every single moment is an active choice. Who you are, who you wish to be, what reality you want to participate in, and how you are valued in that reality. All of those beliefs about yourself, about your circumstances, about your health, about your wealth, about your relationships, everything stems from your belief in self, your belief in who you are and who you've chosen to be, who you've chosen to connect to, how you've chosen to be reactive or non-reactive in situations. All of the power always exists only in this now. And so as you're thinking about this, I want you to ask yourself, what do you believe about yourself right now? Do you believe that you're a good mom or a good dad? Do you believe that you're somebody who is capable of earning only a certain amount of money? Do you believe that you are a good friend, a good partner? Or perhaps there are things you're less proud of. Do you believe that you put everything into your work or your purpose or what you're here to do? Or is that not actually as important to you? Are you somebody who believes in fun and enjoyment just for the sake of existing? And the most important thing to you is perhaps the experiences that you get to have and the relationships you create. None of these choices are wrong. None of them. None of the choices, even the ones that are creating experiences that you don't quite enjoy, are wrong choices. And so as you start to examine these things and start to go, anything about my life I'm not happy with is something I've created, this isn't the moment to beat yourself up. This isn't the moment to say, oh, I did this to me, woe is me. No. This is the moment to say, there was a reason. There was a reason I chose this, whatever this is. There was a reason I chose to have less money in this moment, or there was a reason I chose these relationships, or there's a reason that I chose to live in this situation, whatever that is. And maybe I need to know the reason. Perhaps that's valuable because once I've learned the lesson, maybe I can decide I've learned enough of it. But maybe I don't even need to know why. Maybe it doesn't even matter. Maybe all I need to know is I'm done making that choice. I'm over it. I'm done living this experience. I'm done giving my power away. I'm done believing that somebody else is more important than I am, or smarter than I am, or whatever it is. I'm done thinking that I'm a worthless piece of you know what. I'm done. I'm ready to take my place in the world, whatever that is. And maybe I don't even know what it is I'm taking my place in. Maybe I don't even know what is important to me yet. That's okay. One of the hardest questions to answer is actually, what do you want? Because we can spend so much time finding all the things we don't want. It's really hard to go, this is what I want. I get it. There are still days that I don't entirely know what it is I want. I know what is important to me. I know what I value, and that can be enough. Perhaps you're somebody that values connection and community and relationships. That's enough. Perhaps you're somebody that values puzzles and taking things apart and putting them back together and understanding every single side and dimension of a problem or a situation. That can be enough. Perhaps you're somebody that values the extensity of the experience and the highs and the lows and the ways that all of our emotions pass through us as we read beautiful stories or we look at beautiful artwork, and you get to experience this wide array of things. And that's perhaps something that you value. And even that can be enough. All of these things are important to someone, and none of them are wrong. And if you're somebody who's still trying things on, that's okay too. You're experimenting, you're learning. The less that we can hold judgment of our choices of experience, the easier it is to see it and start to choose a new one. Now, when I look back at my story and my life over the last, not quite 10 years, but when I look back to the time when I finally made the decision to be done with my ex-husband, to be done playing that game, to be done giving any effort to helping or healing him, to being done believing that my children needed an unstable parent in their lives, to be done being connected to him in any lifetime. I did it in an instant, in a moment, in the now. I made the decision that I was done. And that decision affected my past and my future. It affected it because I continued to believe in each future now that was still true. And I took actions based on that belief. And I kept going until my external reality reflected it. And it's still to this day, sometimes I sit in almost awe of how fast it changed. And I take that as a really, really beautiful example of what is possible when we really, really hold ourselves accountable. And we really, really take ownership of the choices we made and our ability to change them, and to trust ourselves to follow through. Because I changed so dramatically that everything around me changed with me. My children changed with me. And while it's now been 3.5 years and, there's still challenges, yes, they're not the same challenges by a long shot. And we still have lots to learn together, of course. Kids come with their own sets of lessons and their own sets of choices. But we don't have that one anymore. And I get to use this as an example, not just for all of you out there, but for myself, of what I know I'm capable of doing. And I've proven to myself who I am capable of being. And I think that's really important, because I know there's been situations where I've tried to make as firm of a decision and say, this is what I'm doing. I'm making this happen because I said so, and I'm sticking to it. But I don't believe myself yet. And if I don't actually believe what I'm saying I'm doing, the belief isn't there and nothing actually shifts. And so this isn't about pretending. This isn't about fake it till you make it. No. This is about radical accountability and radical honesty with ourselves. What do you truly believe about you? Not what you want to believe or what the right answer is supposed to be here, but what do you actually believe about yourself? One of the ones I found recently, probably in the last year, that was really it was really hard to admit to myself, but it's a belief that I've held since I was a young child. And it's a deeper one it creeps up from time to time is, there's still a piece there. And that belief for me was that I didn't matter. That I didn't matter to those around me, and that I eventually realized I didn't matter to myself. I put other people above myself, other people's triggers above my own, other people's emotional instability, other people's needs and desires, and I didn't matter in comparison. And this one's been harder to unravel, especially as a mother. But the more I see how that belief has manifested into my life, and the more I see how that means at some point I do feel like I've been taken advantage of, but that's just not true. I've not been taken advantage of. I've been creating my reality based on my beliefs. It's not the same thing. Because these people reacting are subconsciously hearing, I don't matter. It's not an active thing. They're playing out their version of their beliefs about themselves in reaction and response to my own. And that's ultimately what this life game is about, is co-creating between beliefs with another. And so it's really, really important that we really take honest, radical look at ourselves. And if you also hold the belief that you don't matter, that you're not worthy, that you're not capable, that you're not good enough, that everybody else can do those things, but you can't, well, you're going to continue to prove yourself right. You're going to continue to put yourself in situations where you get to show that's true. You get to see, I'm not. And even if it's not a conscious conversation with yourself, it's still there. And the more awareness that we can bring to those unconscious beliefs, the less unconscious they become. And the louder, at least in my experience, that they get. And the louder that they get, the harder it is to ignore them. And eventually something happens and you say, wait a minute, I do matter. Damn it, I do matter. I have to matter. And if I don't matter to anybody else around me, well, I matter to me. And when you can get there, I matter, I'm worthy, I'm capable, I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, I'm just as smart as everybody else, then you can start to own that in this now moment. You can own it and believe it in this now moment. And then you can start to take action from this now moment to further ground it into this physical experience. And the more consistently and repetitively you do that, the faster everything around you starts to prove you now right again that you do in fact matter. And this is where we see people have massive life transformations seemingly overnight, because all of a sudden new opportunities arrive on their doorstep. They arrive on their doorstep and there they are. Oh my God, I do matter. I do matter because somebody else is actually showing me I do matter. And I get to believe it to myself in a new way. This is where the power truly lies, in the now. The now is our connection to the physical and the spiritual, every single now moment. And it happens, it happens and it's gone. It's immediately the past the moment it happens. But there is power in that, in the belief today, here, now. And I want all of you to think about truly, what do you believe about yourself right now? Who are you right now? And how are you showing up for yourself in that belief right now? Every single moment of every single day, that's all we have. This chosen version of experience, and enjoying and finding the experiences that you desire to have and fully believing them and being in them really starts to help change things. And it can be frustrating if it's not instant, and it can take a toll on our beliefs of, well, I'm not sure I really can believe this because I haven't seen proof yet. But that's the hard part. The proof comes later. The proof of our ability to change our life comes after we already believe it's possible. We have to learn to believe in ourselves, to trust ourselves, our inner knowings, our truth of who we are before anybody else or anything else can change. And I know that that's not always the way we want things to go. But truly, that's where real transformation happens. Coming from self first, belief in self first, and our ability to then put that into motion. Our ability to experience that full spectrum of emotions, to experience this now, to allow every part of the experience to be part of this belief. Every single frequency of emotion, every single physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual part of you must be connected and in full belief of who you are right now. Right now, in this moment, what do you believe to be true about yourself, about who you are, and how you are showing up in this world? Ultimately, that's all we have. And the more we ground into that, and the more we believe in our ability to change that, the faster everybody's life experience gets to shift exactly how they desire it to be. And the beauty is that we get to work with all of these different conscious beings, all of these other humans and connections, to co-create a world where more and more people recognize their personal power to be in their now moments together. And what is this world we are creating? My husband actually the other day challenged me to make my version of a I have a dream speech. Because as much as it's challenging to say, what do I want? When I can look outside of myself and I can think about the world that I want to live in, that is something I can do. And he challenged me to write it as an I have a dream speech, to really think about the energy that I am working on, not just existing in, but believing my own part of. Because for me, I really enjoy feeling purposeful when I'm contributing to something bigger than myself. It's really important to me. And I believe that about myself. And so I get frustrated with myself if I don't feel like I'm contributing to the world that I'm creating. And so if I can dream it and I can believe my part in it, then that's the reality that I will get to experience alongside those who also desire the same thing. So I want to share this with you. I shared it on my Facebook wall, but I want to share it with you on this as well. I dream of a world where everyone trusts their own inner voice, where everyone has full choice of experiences without judgment, where no one person is seen as better or smarter or more powerful than another, where our unique qualities are celebrated and not stifled, where everyone is free to become the best version of themselves, where trauma is eradicated and healing from difficult experiences is normalized, where community support systems are aware of the whole being, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, where collaboration and inclusivity is expected, where respect is given to all ages, races, and peoples. That is my dream. That is the world that I desire to co-create with others. That is the person that I desire to be as an active contributor in this world. And so I have to believe in this now moment that is true today. Today, that world exists because I believe it. And I believe that I have a place in that world as an active participant, contributor, and builder of this world. And my challenge to all of you is to really dig into your own beliefs about who you are. Who are you, and in which world do you desire to be in? That's all for today, guys. Thank you so much. Lots of love.